Okay. Here I am. Let's get the angle right. Okay. Perfect. Might as well take the rubber band out. The hair tie. Okay. All right. So I see MR3, Mr. 3T is here, Sneezer is here, Bloodnose is here. Is it still the 7th day of rest, God? That's why he's been so quiet. Oh, for God, I say. So it's here, yes, I'm live. Am I? It went for a moment, but now it isn't. What's going on, YouTube? Come on. Okay, I guess I'll give it another second. Here I am. I'm live. It's the Nazarite. Bringing the Hebrew lore from days of yore on this fine Sunday night. You know, it's Monday according to the Hebrew calendar. Okay, so here's the deal. There are a couple of announcements, channel-related announcements. Hey, good evening to Rusty, Bloodnose, Mr. 3T, Sneezer, and maybe one or two others who are here, according to the user counter, the viewer counter anyway. So, say hello, you lurkers. What are you up to? How have you been? How's your weekend? I hope you have a good new week, all of you, regardless of whether or not you're lurking. How was your weekend? Let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you hope to achieve this week for yourself or for others. Neil Warren says hello. Okay, so there are a couple of announcements and Orot HaTshuvah and hopefully a Q&A, and it'll be good. I do hope everything is good with everyone. Sneezer says, Shalom everyone, what's the big idea of actually doing a stream on Saturday? Trying to sneak one past without me knowing, eh? Well, like I said in the stream, I was answering a comment after Shabbos, and I figured I should, it pertains to the Nazarite ship, and I've spoken of it, but have not dedicated specific answers or right insofar as a video is concerned. I decided to go live. It was fun. I haven't gone live on Saturday night in maybe ever, though I doubt it. I'm sure I have at some point. It's very rare, and I was happy to do it last night. And I wasn't trying to sneak one past. It was spontaneous. Whoever showed up, showed up. Okay, so yeah. I understand you didn't watch it. It's all good. No pressure. You won't need to watch it if you don't want to. And only sleep between. So wait, you sleep between. Okay, I see. Just when you think it's too late, that's when God says we don't use the same watch. What quote is it? Who are you quoting there, Sneezer? I'll watch it just after this. Okay, cool. So first of all, I'm going to have just like a few minutes, just 2-3 minutes of technical talk regarding viewers and subs and analytics. Since this is now 99 days, I rounded it up to 100, basically, since I started broadcasting again, and I'll give all the deets, and things going forward. Okay, so here's the deal. So I had an original channel. This is my second Hebrew Nazarite channel. The original Hebrew Nazarite channel was from September 2018 until early October 2021, almost 3 years. 500 plus videos, live streams, and dialogues. I had close to 900 subs, and only 120 odd videos of those 500 plus, remain in the archives in this channel. And then I restarted the channel in that very October. I was like, I can't dwell. I have been dwelling, but I don't want to dwell on it. I want to continue. So I started a new channel, October 13th, 2021. Now, from October 13th till 2021 until June 8th, 2024, just a few months ago, it was 970 days. So, there were some months where I was broadcasting more, or sometimes less, sometimes really, really erratic. And like I said, I uploaded to this new channel 120 odd videos from the previous channel. You can find them in the archive, the 2018 archive. Now, in 970 days until June 8th, from the time this new channel started until June 8th, a few months ago, it was 970 days, so just short of 1,000 days. And it was almost 30,000 views, 1,100 or so hours of watch time, and 303 subscribers. It included 136 videos, 73 live streams, 64 shorts, right? That's the 1,000 days. And the audience, the watch time was about 50-50 subscribers and non-subscribers. Male was 68%, female 32%, and the main users age-wise was 25 to 34, 35 to 44. So 25 to 45 is the bulk of the viewers back then. So that was nearly 1,000 days. On June 9th, I started broadcasting once again after a long period, after a hiatus, if you will. I didn't plan it, it just happened that way. And it was now 98 days or 99 days. I restarted broadcasting June 9th. It was the week of Parashat Naso, the Naso Torah portion, which has in it the laws of the Nazarite ship. And I decided that I call it Nazarite Awareness Week, and I decided to start broadcasting again because why not? And all the delays and different things, they didn't hinder me, and I went for it, and it's now been 99 days, which is like about 10% of the previous time frame from when I started this channel until June 8th. Now, not all the data is in, some things take a few, well, most of it's in. So in this time, right, the previous time was 1,000 days, this is just about 100 days, 45.5-ish thousand views, 1,500 hours of watch time, 292 new subs, 2 videos, 105 live streams, 48 shorts, and the audience watch time 59% not subscribed, 41% subscribed, 80% male, 20% female, and the bulk of the viewers is still 25 to 34 and 35 to 44. So in just YouTube-wise, I'm not doing this necessarily for the subs, even though that does open up different avenues of exposure or whatnot. But I'm doing it because I want to do it and I love doing it. And I appreciate every sub, every view, every chat, every comment, of course. And the reason that I say these technical analytic things now after 100 or so days is just to give some people an idea of if you're thinking of going live and doing like a long form content thing, then in the last 100 days where I've been very consistent, it's the difference between what I did in the last 100 days and the previous 970 days is vast. And so, okay, that was the analytics. The second thing I wanted to say, that was a quick, just a couple of minutes on the analytics of the channel, because I find it interesting. Second of all, what I want to say is, now that it's been 100 days, it seems a fitting time to step back a little bit. I won't be doing Sunday through Thursday at 9 p.m. I will be doing, hopefully, God willing, Monday, Wednesday, 9 p.m., and Friday at some point during the day, because after sundown it's Shabbos, sometime during the day, a video or a live on the weekly Torah portion, which is something I haven't done regularly, the weekly Torah portion, in a while. It's something I used to do all the time. It was the very, well, never mind. I used to do it a lot. I have a lot of videos on the weekly Torah portions. I'd love to do it again. And the hopefully, Monday and Wednesday live streams, meaning starting tomorrow, will be in an open panel forum. I'm hoping, through StreamYard. Now, StreamYard was my downfall. The reason why my previous channel was deleted is because for the first time ever I decided to do an open panel on video. But because I didn't know, well, several things, my channel got deleted the following morning. And so this time I'm going to be a lot more careful with who I bring on the live cam chat. But hopefully tomorrow evening, 9 p.m. Jerusalem time, I will be broadcasting through StreamYard with an open panel, however many cams. I don't think I'll be buying a subscription or license quite yet. First, we'll see how it goes. And however many cams I can have on at one time, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've broadcasted through StreamYard and did a live panel. And that live panel was the first and last one I did. And so I'm very much a noob. So I hope that I'll be able to do it tomorrow. If not, it will be a regular live stream. And I want to, because it's a good idea. Someone mentioned it in the comments just before I went on. You should do that. And I was like, I did that one time, and they deleted my channel. And he goes, no, just take these precautions, you'll be fine. Basically, I'm paraphrasing is what he said, and I'm thinking, why not? Why should I just get to blah blah? Why should you have to stare at my ugly mug? Stare at other people's faces. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow I will be putting the link in the description of the video, right? That will be live streamed through StreamYard, and hopefully we will have a nice open panel from now on, God willing. I don't know for how long, but I'm going to start because it's lovely. And the one time that I did it was very, very nice. I enjoy, as you know, engaging and corresponding and having a dialogue and whatnot. And to do it with cameras, right? And it could be, and in the chat, could open up even more channels of communication. And an image is worth 1,000 words. So, that is that for announcements. Let's go to the Orot HaTshuvah, or should I go to the chat? Let's go to the chat a bit. Let's go to the chat, and then we'll do Orot HaTshuvah. Nasty Hair says, toxic tinnitus. Well, you live up to your name, my man. I'll give you that. And yes, some would consider it nasty. It's not nastier than, I don't know. Yeah, sure, nasty. I'm a savage. Okay. Facebook meme unnamed? Facebook meme unnamed. BMXer says, yo, I watched Seinfeld's The Boyfriend and The Limo. The Limo is a classic. The other day, that's one crazy episode. They thought Jerry is a Nazi. You should have been O'Brien. It's not like he's Jewish in the show. He's not Jewish in the show. Yes, indeed. He is very, very Jewish in the show. I've got some 95 or so of them in archive. A Facebook meme? I'm not sure. What do you have in the archive? In your archive? That was a good one indeed. Rusty says, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on so you never miss Hebrew Nazarite going live. I appreciate it, Rusty. Thank you. Interesting stats. Thanks for sharing. Type of judgmental comment I'd expect from your name. Right, that's what I'm saying. Hello, Jonathan says, Eiler. Good to see you, Eiler. And KJB is here as well. Glad to catch you early. Did you ever open on the topic of Karaite Judaism? What are your thoughts? My thoughts, basically, is that I understand where they're coming from, because the oral tradition was supposed to remain oral, and it was written down. And so even if we, let's say, grant the proposition, the idea that they did keep oral Torah, they wouldn't keep the one that was written down. And so my thoughts are that they are kosher Hebrew people, first and foremost. And I don't know so much about them. I've never been to a Karaite minyan or shul or synagogue, right? Incidentally, I know that you take off your shoes in a Karaite synagogue. And I don't think I've spoken of it only in the sense of I don't know enough. I may have had a dialogue with a Karaite on the channel or two, in the previous channel, which was deleted. Okay, so those are my initial thoughts on the Karaim, on the Karaite. I'm interested to address the question to you because you cherry pick anyway. Yes, I do. Okay, so Nisa says, while I do not share my likeness, I may one day consider a cameo revealing. I would choose here before elsewhere. You mean going live on camera or going on camera at all? I wonder if Good Times TV will do live cam with you. I don't think he has a problem with me. I'm pretty much an open book. Pretty much. And he's said to me, well, at least you're aware of the fact that you need to go back to halacha, or that you've stepped away from halacha, and that you are a sinning Nazarite, a Nazir Choteh. I said, yes, definitely. I think from what Good Times TV has said, because I'm Jewish, primarily, and because I'm at least aware that I'm not all I could be, that already puts me in a favorable position in his eyes. So why wouldn't he do a live cam with me? The question is, will it become a fiery storm, of Good Times TV versus Christians or apologists or messianics, or I don't know what. Who knows? Sinizar says, I've only just read Karaite for the first time, but I agree with the premise that reputable oration is an important part of a living religion as opposed to dead. Yes. Yeah. It needs to be an ongoing thing. It ought to be an ongoing thing. And our sages, right, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, I mean, right, Yavne. The yeshiva in Yavne, and the yeshivas in the exile, right, in the diaspora, and they were, chovlim b'mayim adirim. They were great captains, they were, what were they called? B'mayim adirim, on the high seas. They were great captains of Torah on the high seas. That's how they are called. So Nizar says, eternity is an ongoing thing, thus religion must be too. Eternity is an ongoing thing. Otherwise, it's just dogma. There is something to that. Now, there are dogmatic elements, but it shouldn't be, the bulk of it, I guess, shouldn't be dogma. The oral traditions were meant to be carried out and carried on through the generations, and it's only because of exile and destruction that we had to write them down and that things had to be codified, where otherwise there were many other opinions and ways and traditions and different ways to view halacha or what halacha ought to be. Okay. Let's go with the Orot HaTshuvah, 2 quick paragraphs. Chapter 13, 9a and 9b. Rav Kook, Rav Avraham Yitzchak HaKohen, the priest, the high priest, HaKohen HaGadol, Rav Kook. He says this about Tshuvah, returning, atonement. Says Rav Kook, Tshuvah should not be delayed by any spiritual hindrance, let alone physical ones. And even when he sees that he has not returned from some matters for which there is no apology, he should strive to return with joy from all that his heart is called to return from. Nothing should stop you from going back to yourself and consequently to Adonai, or the other way around, however it hits you. The idea that you need to strive to be all you can be in the physical and in the spiritual, cultivate this mode of being where everything is flourishing and thrives, because the flood is going to come. The tragedies are around the corner. What will you be? Who will you be when you tackle them, when they tackle you, whatever the case may be? How will you be? Where will you be meeting life? From what position? From what position? Don't be delayed. You have one life. Don't let the spiritual hindrances delay you. Don't let the physical ones delay you. Right? We spoke earlier in different live streams on Orot HaTshuvah that there's this idea of the actionable, practical tshuva and the tshuva of the mind. And the tshuva of the mind has great potential, even though later when you implement it, it may be lesser so, because this is dealing with reality. And that's why the tshuva of the mind has this quality about it that is limitless. And within that is the ability. It's like the seed that you sow, and later it comes to fruition with your actions. And that seed has, within it is concealed that quality of a life force whose function, which, its function is to overcome weaknesses, overcome obstacles, weather the storm, conquer the fears, go plow right ahead, mindfully, humbly, but continue onward. It's that life force of tshuva, the origin, the destination, and the journey. And he says that even if he sees, like plainly with his eyes, right? Even if he sees that he has not returned from some matters for which there is no apology, right? There's no excuse for the way I'm behaving. I'm going to focus on the good. He should strive to return with joy from all that his heart is called to return from, because there are different things that hinder us, physical, spiritual, mental, each with our own baggage, each with our own experience. Some doors remain closed until a certain time, and again, that doesn't excuse you to be a piece of shit, but it at least provides something of a comfort and a solace. Okay, I'm on the way, but certain things are barred. Okay, and even if I'm not returning yet from things for which there are no apology, there are things which my heart is calling to me, and I hear that calling, return. Do this, don't do that. These are things you can actually do with less of a hindrance. No obstacles are in your way, or at least much less than, everything. It's like narrow things, micro decisions, micro routines, and these things add up. They compound. And if you return with joy, right, and with love, and fear has its utility and its merit, of course, higher fear and lower fear alike for tshuva, definitely. But here he says, with joy, from all that his heart is called to return from. If you hear that call, attend to it. Be mindful of it. Acknowledge it. Even if you can't bring yourself yet for whatever reason to do it, keep it there. Maintain it there. Don't sweep it under the proverbial rug. If your heart is calling you to return from something with joy, not, oh my God, I'm such a piece of crap, I've sinned so much, I've fallen so far, how did I get this? Who am I? No, something where you say, you know what? This is cool, I should do that. And you feel that joy, to return with joy. You should strive to return with joy from all that your heart is called to return from. And that was 9a. 9b, which very much continues it. He says, Rav Kook says, the foundation of tshuva, of returning, of atonement, the foundation of tshuva should always be based on the future repair. And at first, one should not attribute a significant hindrance to matters of the past, because if he comes immediately to deal with correction of the past, he will find many obstacles, and the paths of returning of tshuva and closeness to Adonai, right, closeness to God, will be difficult and hard to obtain. But when one is truly busy in correcting his actions, it is certain that he will receive divine aid also for correcting the past. Be here now. And the past will be corrected of its own accord if you keep going and becoming better towards the future. And in the grand scope of things, it will be as if these things which you did, these wrongdoings and crimes and transgressions, they will be merits. It's not even that they would disappear. They will be actual, veritable merits. Because without them, you wouldn't be where you are today, and that whole thing. And once again, this does not give you permission to wallow in that comfort without doing anything whatsoever. That's not cool either, and this is a different part of Orot HaTshuvah that he speaks of, where somebody thinks that he's saved because he's always comforting himself and giving him solace and telling himself he's on the way, but in fact he's really, really not on the way. But it's an issue, and I'll get to it. Hopefully, maybe I'll get to it. Maybe I'll read it at some point in one of these streams. We are pretty much halfway through the month of Elul, almost, and I'm reading this Orot HaTshuvah, right, of Kook's Orot HaTshuvah, which he himself, the author, used to learn during these days of Elul after the morning prayers. And so he says, the foundation should always be based on the future. If you come and you want to meet the past head on, you're going to just run your head into a wall. It's not recommended. Some people can do it. It's usually not recommended. You will find many obstacles, and the paths of returning and closeness to Adonai will be difficult and hard to obtain. But when you are, as he says, when you are truly busying yourself with correcting your present and going into the future, those things will retroactively, in the grand scheme of things, as I said, right, with a wider view and a longer thought, there will be divine aid given. It doesn't mean it will happen of its own accord without you doing anything. It means that you will be receiving aid in that matter. So at first, don't be busying yourself with the past. Focus on the future and the present. Your actions in the present going into the future. And that's the path to tshuva. That's one path to tshuva. And he says it should always be based on future repair. Okay, what's done is done. Here I am, still walking, still talking, still living, still breathing. It means I still have a job to do, a task to fulfill, a gift to give to the world. As I like to quote David Data in The Way of the Superior Man. How do I go about it? In my own insufficient, inadequate, horrible state. How do I go about the things where, as he says, my heart is calling me? However small, however minute, however seemingly trivial, tshuva is something so significant that even holding on to something that's seemingly trivial, if it's connected to tshuva, it is therefore connected to the very essence of life, of the tree of life, returning to who you individually are as a human being in the image of God, right, created in the image of God, and that idea of destiny or fortune or what's called, well, never mind, right? It's you manifesting your unique divine image to the highest degree that you can. And that's tshuva, that's lashuv, that's to return to Torah, to covenants, to commandment, to oneself. All right, let's go to the chat. Hey, Jacob, the Jew is here. Splash Fuzz is here. Okay. So let's see. Hairphobes. Hairphobes said KJB. Uri Geller, the spoon bender, surprisingly hard to stab. Someone tried to stab him? BMXer says, by the way, HN, what did you think about keep Shabbat from sunrise Saturday to What do you think about keeping Shabbat from sunrise Saturday to sundown? I would think that if somebody wants to keep the rabbinic Orthodox Shabbat, it begins just before sunset, and not on sunrise. The Hebrew day starts at night. Okay, let's see. BMXers, Sanither says to BMXers, I was also wondering, Karaism was an alternative spelling of Karaism and not a misunderstanding of oration. Right, like certain people spell Kabbalah, I think, with a C, and some with a K, and some with a Q. Maybe it has to do with that. Maybe it's literally just a difference, and that it's not. I mean, how significant is it if it's a foreign language to which you are translating? I wonder. Ooh, pardon me. I have, by the way, chamomile tea here, which I usually don't drink, but I was called to. I felt the nudge toward chamomile. Sinisa says to BMXers, I would say that what makes it a religion is that it's agreed upon. Cult is merely young religion, if that was your implication. Oh, he implied that they were a cult. Definitely not a cult, I think. Okay. Did you hear, says Neil Warren, about that the lost tribes of Israel turned up in Europe as the Anglo-Saxons, Scandinavians, and the Germanic peoples? No, I didn't hear that. But there are so many different theories and ideas and hypotheses on where the 10 tribes are, and it's been said already in the Talmud, if I'm not mistaken, or perhaps it was the Mishnah, that Sancheriv, the king of Assyria, with his wars and journeys of conquest, had already mixed up all the nations. Bas Sancheriv v'vilbelet ha'umot. So if I did hear about it, I don't remember, but it makes sense that someone would say this. It does. Eiler says parallels between the lessons of tshuva and conversion might be a similar drawing being pulled towards Hashem. Yes, very, very much so, because somebody who is interested in converting, I believe, would be somebody who wants to express something inside of them and express it in life. And tshuva is returning to who you are originally supposed to be. And it could very well be that those who are choosing to convert to the Hebrew faith, to Judaism, their original, let's say, soul, if you will, though perhaps it's not soul in the classic sense, but that divine spark, whatever you want to call it, that's within them, that life, that divine life force, that breath of life that's within them, is one which might have a connection, right, to where the people of Israel are holding, and so they are coming back. Or it could be somebody who used to be of the people of Israel, and over the course of the history, they branched off to a different faith or way, and then this person is coming back. But yes, it definitely is similar, I would think, feeling drawn, feeling pulled, feeling called towards something. I would agree. I would agree. Neil Warren, ridiculous, says Splash Fuzz. Well, Splash Fuzz, let me ask you, as you know, I'm not an educated man, but why would it be ridiculous? Are you speaking historically, academically? Is there any consensus on who the Anglo-Saxon, Scandinavian, and Germanic people were? Were they indigenous to Europe? You say they turned up in Europe. So they were what? They were from where? They were conquering hordes? What were they? I'm curious. See, I don't know the history. I need to know more history. Rusty says, new food on the streets of America, deep-fried chihuahuas. There's a very good chance that Pinky is a mutt, with a pincher, pincher and a chihuahua. She's a pincher and something. Some say a rat. Jacob the Jew says, hello, brother, what's your name? It's Jonathan. I do not know your name, and will you come on my show? Yeah, invite me. I don't know if well, A, it depends on the show, and B, yeah, definitely, I'll come on your show. Appreciate it. But unless it's a debate. If it's a debate show, then I'm not a debater. But if it's not a debate sort of thing, then yeah, definitely. Right, because I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. I'm not here to pretend that I have some great knowledge, truth, or wisdom. I'm not here to say that I am the epitome of this, that, or the other. No paragon of virtue am I. Believe me. So I would want to present myself as such, as someone who is able to argue for something. I would rather avoid that, seeing as how I don't consider myself, well, I consider myself a sinner, a transgressor, and a criminal. Splash Fuzz says to Rusty, LOL, deep-fried chihuahuas, huh? I've seen, though I don't know the origin, that things about people eating pets has crept up. I don't know the origin, I don't know why, but I'm seeing it in different places on Reddit and on YouTube. Sanizar says to Eiler, I further suggest that the only such thing, divinely inspired, conversion merely ignores one tiny but critical fact: Jesus. Tiny but critical indeed. Neil Warren says to Splash Fuzz, I take it you didn't get the memo? Well, okay, but why is it ridiculous? I'd love it if you would actually state it. And why is it not ridiculous, Neil Warren? Okay. History is written by the victor, says Sanizar, indeed. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It was something I've always... wait, the chat jumped. Philosophy, here we go. Philosophy rarely ever works, says Splash Fuzz. Philosophy rarely ever works. What does it mean for a philosophy to work, in your opinion? Do you mean where it's like something that you can put into practical, or you can practically implement a philosophy in the world, in everyday reality, and it sustains itself and it runs and it works in the sense that it is like an irritable game, something you can do over and over again? In what way do you mean that philosophy rarely ever works? Splash Fuzz says to Neil, no, you got that from a mental patient. A mental patient? What's going on here? Sanizar says to Eiler, I would thus caution those in such conversion that hell is still ahead, and there's only one way out: unconditional love. Unconditional love. JM is here. Hello, JM. Good to see you, man. Hello. You wave at me, I'll wave at you. Unconditional love, unconditional love, unconditional love. And as I've said many times, while originally maybe it ought to be unconditional love, by the time it comes here to the world post-Eden, right, expelled from Eden, in the world of knowledge of good and evil, unconditional love is something really grand, but you need, I think, such nuance and such subtlety and, other synonyms of those two words, in order to properly implement unconditional love. Because just like it says that people aren't ready to receive rebuke these days and people don't know how to rebuke these days, in the very same way it's unconditional love. Because unconditional love, I don't know. On the one hand, it's like obviously unconditional love and it will repair the world. All you need is love. On the other hand, no. Unconditional love, no conditions, no parameters, nothing keeping it in check, right? No, I think the way of the Torah is that, at least at first, it is conditional love. And then unconditional love can grow from that. But, right, you keep the covenant, and you can stay in the land of Israel, and then we move on to phase 2 of all humanity with Eden and the tree of life. But who knows? Eventually, at the end of the day, yes, unconditional love. Unconditional love. However, it's not the way of this world. This world is still one of good and evil. But I would understand you, Sanizar, and why you would say that is it. That is the end-all, be-all. I understand what you mean. I still have my experiences here in the world and with Torah, and I do see conditions, at least as they pertain to the lower divine revelations. The first 3, right? The Gimel Rishonot, the first 3, the higher Sfirot, that is unconditional love. That is a copulation and a unity between mother and father, Chochmah and Bina, that is unending. It's only here in this world that Ben v'bat, Zachar v'nekeva, right? The bride and groom are not always together. There are times when they are apart. There are times when they are together. Here there are conditions. However, you can work within reality and worship Adonai within reality in such a way where that unity will be more present than not in your life and in the lives of others, consequently. And it used to be facilitated through ritual worship with the temple. And now that we don't have the temple, it's on us. And it's on learning Torah, right, for the Hebrew people, Torah and commandments. Okay. Trust me, says Splash Fuzz, they'd have their own culture and they wouldn't look Germanic, Scandinavian, etc. JM says, I've always wondered if the Bible was derived from the Torah. What is the Torah exactly in layman terms? The 5 books of Moses is the Torah, and Bible is Tanakh, Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, the writings and the prophets, and the Torah. And the Torah is a league of its own. The prophets and the writings which followed were canonized by our sages, and the revelation is different forms of prophecy, unlike the 5 books of Moses, which is Mosaic prophecy, which is different from all the prophets. So, is it derived from the Torah? The Bible, the prophets and the writings are there to point back to the covenant of the Torah. And the 5 books of Moses is what it is exactly. The Torah. Now, there's also the oral Torah. Okay, Jacob the Jew says, do I mind? I'm assuming he wanted to say, do you mind? I shared your channel with my Jewish friends who said there's been no Nazarites for 2,000 years. By all means, share it. I mean, obviously I don't mind. I'm here for, I'm just sending my bread upon the water. And I've encountered 1 or 2 other people or more who've said, no, there are no Nazarites anymore. And I say, okay, guy, whatever you say. Yeah, by all means, share it for sure. The Nazariteship has always been a part of the Hebrew people. I, for one, have a feeling, just a Nazarite hunch, if you will, that the Nazariteship has been sustained throughout the nearly 2,000 years of exile, and that there have always been Nazarites, even if there is the opinion that even with the opinion that Nazarites ought to make their vow and take it in the land of Israel, it is possible to be a Nazarite in the diaspora, right, in exile. It's not ideal, but it's possible. I would encourage it, said Sneezer to Jacob the Jew. Sneezer says, not derived from the first 4 books, 5, the 5 books of Moses, correct. Yes, and Splash Fuzz said 5. Splash Fuzz says, I wish I knew more history, but that theory is ridiculous at first glance. At first glance, could be, but then again, that begs the question, if you're saying that they turned up in Europe, where did they come from originally? For example, Leviticus 12:13, how would a Jewish person interpret this? Let's see, Leviticus 20:13, JPS Tanakh says, and if a man lie with mankind as with womankind... Oh, I'm sorry, that's not... Here. That was the wrong one. Here. And if a man lie with mankind as with womankind, both of them have committed abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. So, first of all, you have the pshat. The pshat is a man who lies with a man as he does with a woman. It's not a wanted thing, and they should be put to death. And they brought it on themselves. Right? That's the very basic understanding. But then you come to actual practical halacha, and then you come to the midrash and to the more esoteric teachings, and why is it like this? So, wait, hold on, let's get back to the question. How would a Jewish person interpret this? That the physical act of anal sex between 2 men is prohibited according to Torah and is punishable by death. However, that interpretation of that verse, you must take into account the fact that the Torah says this. In the very same way the Torah, let's say, speaks of the wayward son, or of the city that completely goes against God. In the case of the wayward son, you put him to death. In the case of the city, that the entire city goes astray, you burn it and you never rebuild it. Now, according to our sages, those 2 things didn't happen. Why did those 2 things didn't happen? But they appear in Torah. Why they never happened? Why should they appear in Torah? People say, so it's to teach you something about the nature of the Torah, the nature of yourself, and so you will learn it. It's simply learning Torah, even if it never actually came to pass. So we see that in the Torah, if we're taking our sages as an example here of things they said, those 2 things, those 2 instances, those 2 commandments, those 2 thou shalt nots and thou shalt, of the wayward son, put him to death, the city that's gone awry, burn it and kill everyone there, and burn it and never rebuild it. Okay, we need to take it in context. In the very same way that our sages took it in context and said these 2 things never happen, but it's still there to teach you something and for you to earn the merits, let's say, of learning Torah. is because even though something doesn't happen physically, there's a spiritual root and a very significant spiritual, mental, behavioral element where the Torah sets you on the proper path. And you can learn something about yourself reading the Torah. You can learn something about the nature of the relationship between you and those around you, you and the Most High God. That's what the Torah is there for. And if we're talking about commandments or which have, or scenarios which haven't even existed in reality according to our sages, obviously there's something more to it. In this very same way, this thing that became God hates gays, I disagree. I think that, first of all, you're attracted to whoever you're attracted to. I know this, I know how delicate and fragile and nuanced this attraction and sexuality, and I know how multi-layered and on the one hand maybe very simple, but very complex it is. And so I am loath to speak of it, really. However, if you're talking about interpretation, a Jewish person would interpret it basically the way that our sages did, that if you engage in, if two men engage in anal sex, two men of age of consent, right, bar mitzvah and up, and they engage in anal sex, then they will be put to death. However, they will be put to death after the Sanhedrin finds them guilty, and they would only do this, they would only be putting people to death once every 7 or 70 years, and they would be considered lethal for doing so. The Sanhedrin was never trigger happy in that sense. Yes, they had no triggers, I know. They were never happy about putting anyone to death, and they would do anything and everything in their power to have it converted to some other punishment. But yes, the Sanhedrin did put people to death at times. And it doesn't say, as far as I'm concerned, what it doesn't say is who you are allowed to be attracted to, who you are allowed to have a relationship with, who you are allowed to live with, who you are allowed to, right, all of that, be romantic with, whatever the case may be. It's this specific act, because of its spiritual root, and because some people say this was something that was practiced widely among the nations at the time, and Israel, in an effort to differentiate themselves, said, we're not doing that. The physical act is prohibited by the Torah. But you would have to have, again, to find the person guilty and put them to death, you'd have to have witnesses, you'd have to have them warned, it would have to be like a very point by point, according to the law, right, due process, the whole thing. But there's no escaping the fact that the Torah says that, yes, anal sex between two men is prohibited and they should be put to death. Now, I, as a cherry picker, choose to focus on the fact that I would say, in this case, hate the sin, not the sinner. I don't have anything against gay people. It's not as if I keep the entire Torah that I can go, oh, you, blah, you're an abomination, as if I'm not an abomination, right? I am blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not. I'm definitely a transgressor who ought to be put to death in the very same way, and an abomination. Trying to do better. So, as far as that's concerned, yes, it's in the Torah. The Torah was given to people, right? Written by people for people, divinely inspired, right? From Adonai to Moses, but written by Moses in the scroll to the tribes, and then later in books and whatnot, by people for people. Which means that in this world of good and evil, the Torah shows you good and evil. The Torah shows you life and death. The Torah says, choose life. And so I choose to choose life. I choose to focus more on life. I choose to focus things that are more desired in the eyes of the Most High, and not the abominations. And in this day and age, definitely, it would be so insolent of me, and so mind-bogglingly conceited and arrogant and prideful to judge anyone, rebuke anyone, or say anything against anyone unless I had a very good case. And if people say, but it's written in Torah, and you say follow Torah, correct. But I also know that I need to make it very clear to myself where the boundaries are, what the Torah says, and why. And so I choose very consciously to focus on the good, and to focus on what is allowed and what isn't an abomination, and leave the anal sex between two men in their own bedroom or car or out in the open if they're into it, but I don't know, where it's something where I wouldn't be, let's say, pushed into a corner because I'm not pushed into that corner. There are many things, right, that the Torah says are, you should be put to death for this, for that. I don't go hounding people for that. And there are many people who don't keep Shabbos. The majority of the people here are secular Jews. It's like, am I going to hound them? Am I going to persecute them? No. Then why would I have anything against this person who happens to be gay? Right. So I don't know how a Jewish person would interpret it, let's say, but I know how I, as a Jewish person, interpret and think about it in this context. Yes. I do debate. Okay, well, you know what? Hey, James is here. I look like Jerry Garcia, said James. Thank you, thank you. Jerry Berry. Okay, so user GER is here. Arsonist is here. Arcanist or arsonist? Jacob says, wait, where were we? God, wait, I do debate, but it's not for that. It's to get to know you, Achi, as we are mishpocha. Okay, if you would want to have me not for a debate, I'd love to. Yeah, leave me the deets. Put it in the comments after the, after I go, or whatever, and hit me up. Incidentally, hit me up. Those of you who would want to chat in the DMs. Hebrew Nazarite across the board. Look for my tree, right, on X and on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook and YouTube. I don't post much, but I'm in the DMs. Okay. Let's continue. Neil Warren says, I thought you believed that all people come from Noah's family. What do you mean? Are you talking to me or someone else? I'm not sure who you're talking to, Neil. Oh, you're talking to Sneezer, okay. God is unconditional and love, not the love most think of. Yes, agreed. Okay. Oh, wait, Splash Fuzz says, usually philosophy is only a positively boost, if anything. But things that don't change behavior, such as applied therapy, or even science that changes your view of the world, has real-world effects. You mean has no real-world effects, or has real-world effects? And James, incidentally, my father really looks like Jerry Garcia. More like a parental love, but less restrained, says Sneezer. User GER says, if Jesus was gay, do you think God would be pissed off? I'm not God. I have no idea what God would think, or how and what would be. Of course not, said Sneezer. The most important thing I've learned is unconditional love understands. If God made gays, it was for a reason. Isn't Jesus God? Says JM to user. Which user? Oh, user GER. Eiler says, Torah changed my mind in regards to love. What makes me differ, in my opinion, to my recent school education religious teacher, we need more than love and faith. We need discipline and action. Yes, I concur. Tov lagever ki yisa ol b'neuav, said Jeremiah. It is good for a man to carry a yoke in his youth, to pick up a burden when you're still young. I hear you. Isn't JPS Tanakh Christian? No, JPS is the Jewish Publication Society, if I'm not mistaken. JPS is not Christian, and that's why I love it. Before I found the JPS Tanakh, I would use the King James Bible just because I loved the English. What to do with non-Jews? Nothing. Let them continue being non-Jews. Not everybody needs to be Jewish. They should keep doing their thing. If they live among the people of Israel in the land of Israel, it would be best if they would take on the Hebrew God and forsake their other gods, but because that's the law of the land. But nowadays it isn't really the law of the land. Though there is this prohibition against proselytizing, right? You know of this? You know of it? Something, or maybe it used to be in the law. Okay. Use the Judaica Press. It's that the JPS or Art Scroll. I like the JPS. I'm going to continue going with the JPS. Why does Chabad say Nazarites don't exist? What? Chabad as a Hasidut say Nazarites don't exist? I would love to see chapter and verse, if you will, on where and when it says that Nazarites don't exist. Why? I can conceivably think of why Chabad and anyone else would say they don't exist, because they are few and far between, although it's making a comeback. Few and far between are, that's it, but I'm saying it's always been there, so definitely always in existence. Jacob the Jew, Sneezer says, Jacob the Jew, likely because he's never seen one, like an Eskimo claiming no elephants or an atheist claiming no God. Yeah. Sneezer says to user GR, reincarnation suggests birth, which is also true, and like everyone else, born, not remembering. Oy, pardon me. Resurrection, he continues and says, implies a moment during life when everything becomes clear. Eureka. Suddenly you understand, in a far more profound way than ever realizing you were wrong. Misunderstanding. I see. Oh, so Jacob continues. Today, without a temple, may it be rebuilt speedily, there is no way for a Nazarite to end a period of Nazirhood or Nazariteship, and it is therefore very rare for anyone to take the vow. It's rare, yes, but it's doable. You just do it for life. Jacob the Jew, Sneezer says, Jacob the Jew, if you rebuild the building, Armageddon will break out. The temple is your body. Jacob the Jew says, however, there have been notable exceptions. One was Rabbi David HaKohen HaNazir, right? The Jerusalem Nazarite, the scion of the rabbinical family with roots in the Kopos branch of the Chabad. So Chabad person said there are no Nazarites when somebody who's a scion of that branch. As I said, I met people who say, and I like to mention it because it's one of my newer acquisitions, only in the past year or so. Rabbi David HaKohen's book, The Voice of Prophecy, Kol HaNevuah. I enjoy it, and it's I have the new edition, which was published just a few months ago, a year ago. He was a Talmudist, Kabbalist, and philosopher with a unique worldview, much of which has been recorded in his prolific writings. Agreed. And he said that the Nazariteship is a stepping stone to prophecy. He said that if he would have come into the world just for that, to make the name of Nazarite known again, it would have been worth it. I hold him in very high esteem, the Nazarite rabbi of Jerusalem, Rabbi David HaKohen. Are you Jewish, Sneezer? He is not Jewish as far as I know. By adoption only. We have Tanakh. Agreed. BW says, do you know if ancient Hebrews were aware of precession of the equinoxes and was it built into their calendars? It was, yes. It is. Ancient Hebrews, I'm talking more about the sages and the Hebrew calendar, but yes, I'm pretty sure they were. Considering the fact that our sages at the time of the Second Temple, right, cite previous knowledge. Jacob the Jew, yet you reject Jesus, which is highly misunderstanding. One might say, if you know the truth, why not believe it? And Jacob retorts, so said that did you just bear a false witness, Greek worshipper? Sneezer just lied, very bad boy, LOL. Well, once again, it's the old Christian-Jewish debate here in the chat. It never ends. I bear no false witness, said Sneezer. I speak only of what I've seen. Yes, you're calling it like you see it, same as I. And you could not possibly disprove it, not only because of logic, but because it's true. So falsely accuse as you will, you do. You do the work of your father, not God. Jacob continues, I love what you're doing and stand for Baruch Hashem. Are you talking to me or are you talking to Sneezer? Sneezer said, the light demands you reel the name of your God. You reel? My father is Yahweh, yours is the devil, Sneezer. You stand condemned, returns Sneezer. Well, it's Jew versus Christian versus Muslim. Yes, indeed. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Even your God loved us much more. Even your God, or even your, what does it say? I can't see, there's something in the way there. Okay. Good people, near and far. I will say good night. It's been almost an hour. A good time to say goodbye. God willing, tomorrow, first of all, I will open up this, it'll go private, and then a minute later it will be public. Hit me up with a comment. I'll check out the comments for the next half hour, I don't know. I'll come and go from the comments. So if you want to keep this going, let's do it. I'm into it. I'm going to end the live stream. I invite you tomorrow, God willing, to a panel video where I will put the link in the description, and people who have video will be able to join, and we'll see where that leads us. I'm excited. So to sum up, Orot HaTshuvah and Such a great book, so much to learn, such a wealth of knowledge and of tshuva and of practical ways of implementing it in one's life. And tomorrow, God willing, with StreamYard, an open panel. It will be fun. Thank you, each and every one of you, those watching now, those watching later. Every sub, every view, every comment, every chat, every horrified swipe, everything, every contribution, right? Every troll. It's so much fun. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate your time and your kind and unending attention. I don't take it for granted that I just go, here, let's go live, and there are people here, and it's wonderful, and it's relatively civil and polite, and there's a chat, there's a dialogue, there's understanding. Your contributions, your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, your gems, your 2 cents are what make this, ongoing live stream so wonderful, and it's lovely to get to do it so many times and so often, and I'm full of gratitude to you and to the Most High God. So God willing, tomorrow, a panel, and we'll see where it goes. Laila Tov.